Hey guys, and welcome to our Gen Con preview. We're going to do a short video here to go over all the cool new releases that we've been plotting for Gen Con 2025. It should be a good time. We're really looking forward to it. Now, normally we would do a live stream before a big event like this, but as you're seeing this, we are probably at the Gen Con show floor trying to build our booth, and we're sweaty and tired and very preoccupied. So we have pre-recorded this, and we are releasing it non-live stream version, old school.
Right.
And so it should be a lot of fun, though. Jason, you looking forward to Gen Con?
I am. Gen Con's always a good time, and I think players are going to have a lot of fun in our preview games and different events that we have planned.
Yeah, we have some really cool stuff. Our booth is number 729 in the exhibit hall. We've got, a lot of people will have the games and events separate from their actual booth where they're selling stuff. We just have everything in one place. So right at our booth, we're doing all of the different events. We've got Aaron Lovejoy there, painting live and answering people's questions, giving advice and tips and that kind of thing. We've got a paint and take at our booth where anybody can just come up. There's no sign up. You don't need a ticket, nothing like that. Just take a load off and grab a mini and paint it up, and then you get to take it home with you. Besides that, on Saturday, we're going to be doing preview games, right? Mm-hmm. What do you have planned for that, Jason?
We're going to be doing preview games for the Cursed Tombs of Kamontet, as well as the Impossible Hell Train. And those preview games are going to include adventures in the tombs themselves in Egypt, as well as in the sunken city of Ferox, and letting people get their hands on a little bit of adventures in the actual Impossible Hell Train itself, the Otherworld, the Hell Train.
That's very cool. And actually, I skipped right over Friday. Friday, we're doing our Flying Frog Center Stage Spotlight, where we're going to do... We do this every year, and we just have some secret previews of things to come. And so we're going to be doing that. I think that is 4 to 6 p.m. on Friday.
Yeah, showing off different production plastics and new miniature sculpts and things of that nature.
And then lastly, we round out the weekend with, on Sunday, we're doing a big mega game called Prison Break. And that's going to be very exciting. Do you want to tell people a little bit? Sure. I mean, don't give away everything.
I can't give away too much, but
this is a mega game.
The main gist of it is it's a mega game, so it seats up to 16 players. And the theme is that there's a Trun spaceship that has been transporting a bunch of heroes from across different times in different areas, and they've all been locked away in prison cells on their ship, and they get attacked by the Shikari Void Pirates, in fact. And then the ship ends up crashing because of the attack into the blasted wastes. And so when the ship crashes, all the cell doors start opening, and the ones that open, the heroes get to emerge from those cells and escape and try to make a prison break to get away from this crashed Trun spaceship. So it's a crossover of the derelict ship with the blasted wastes.
And you actually made some crossover tiles.
Yeah, there's going to be crossover map tiles for this.
That are kind of half derelict ship, half blasted wastes, because the ship has crashed in the blasted wastes.
Yeah. So you have to fight your way past the Trun guards that are still alive from the crash, as well as the Shikari who boarded the ship to try to loot it, and then any sort of creatures or monsters that or scavengers that you happen across to get out of the ship itself and into the blasted wastes and escape to relative safety.
And these imprisoned heroes are from across the board. So there's some from feudal Japan. There's Vikings and conquistadors,
Vikings,
people from all over, Old West heroes.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I'm looking forward to that one. That should be that is a great way. The mega game is an awesome way to end the weekend out. Yeah. And again, all of these events that we're doing at our booth, they're not ticketed. You don't need to get a ticket. You don't need to sign up. You can just show up on the day, just come a little bit early and then make sure that you're there. And it's kind of a first come, first serve. And even the people that may not get a seat, we usually have a lot of people watching. And it's a great time because everybody's kind of in it together. It's one of those games where there's so much energy behind it that people are cheering, or like, ooh, like when bad stuff happens or if you miss a roll or things like that. Besides that, we're doing our usual Gen Con painting contest. It's the same same categories that we usually have, where it's best single hero, best single enemy, and Brimstone Bounty, where it's kind of an open category. And you can enter up to once in each of those categories. Entries are due by noon on Saturday, and you just turn them in at our booth, and then we're going to announce the winners at the end of day Saturday. And yeah, that's always fun too.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get on with it. Why don't we talk about the exciting new stuff we're going to be debuting at the show, and I guess online as well, right?
Yeah.
Because we're going to try to do a simultaneous release of these, both on the show floor and also on the web store. So even if you're not going to Gen Con, these are going to go available the same time Gen Con starts. So Thursday morning this week. So that should be exciting. And let's jump into it.
Yeah. Well, why don't do you want to do a quick recap of some of the things that came out recently that will be available tangibly in people's hands for the first time at Gen
Sure.
Con? Why don't we take a look at some of that?
So let's do that.
So we just recently had our Roll to Move event, which is an online convention that we do. And for that Roll to Move event, we released a few new items. For instance, this, which is the Oathbreaker Axemen, which are a new type of Norse-themed undead that are kind of heavy undead Dragar-type enemies that have a deck of broken oaths that they broke in life, and now it has cursed them to wander the Norse lands for the rest of their days, haunted by the oaths that they've broken.
And these guys are a lot like the Dragar undead Vikings, but they're much more heavily armored, and of course they have two-handed axes.
Yeah, big two-handed axes.
And they're broken oaths.
Yeah, they're pretty tough, but they're also a pretty fun enemy. Another enemy group that we released at Roll to Move was the Carrion Trench Feeders. So this is the first time we've released a small size enemy group for Tradera, and they're basically like kind of large, semi-armored critters that burrow through the earth and the no man's lands to dig their way into the trenches and feed on all of the fallen soldiers and remnants of the battles across Tradera. And so
you just said they're the first small ones. They're basically large.
Well,
but what you mean is large for tiny critters. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So they're
it's comparative.
Yeah, mechanically they're a small size enemy. In
real life, if you saw it, it'd be pretty big.
It would be enormous. It would be like a giant centipede with a big maw that's trying to chew your face off.
Yes.
In that regard, thematically they're big, but it's the first small size, mechanically small size enemy.
Yes.
So it's a group of 12 of them. They're pretty cool. They swarm around you. They get extra damage based on how many are adjacent to you, and they also can sink their many legs into you to tear the flesh from your bones, and also to kind of grip you and hold you in place, and potentially even subdue your weapons.
Yeah, this is something that the Traderans have been dealing with for forever.
For a long time.
Out in the trenches, and it's only now that your heroes are going to start running into them, and you're going to find out the terrors of the trench feeders. But we also released a new Swarm Pack, didn't we, Jason?
We did, yeah.
Let's show that real quick.
We have the new Enemy Swarm Pack number 4. This also was at Roll to Move for the first time. And it basically is similar to the previous Enemy Swarm Packs we've done in the past, where it lets you use larger groups of some of the core set enemies. This particular one focuses on the Stranglers and the Night Terrors, so kind of Void Demon themed. And it always comes with additional models. So you can have larger groups of those enemies that you encounter, but also a spawner of some sort that can spawn new enemies during the fight. And so this has a new spawner called Tear in Reality. So it's a giant rip that's torn open in the fabric of space and time, and the Stranglers and Night Terrors can kind of pull their way through and enter into the real world.
And the model itself is pretty big.
It is.
When we first did it, we had it at one size, and we printed it out. And I remember Jason saw it, and he goes, "A Night Terror wouldn't come out of that." Because
Well,
it needs to be bigger.
be a little bit of a squeeze.
He'd be stretching his way out. So we had to make it even bigger because it has to make sense. A Night Terror has to fit through this big tear in reality.
And the idea of extra Night Terrors spawning during the course of a fight is kind of a terrifying prospect.
Yeah.
Night Terrors are already, a pretty scary enemy to fight.
And while we're just touching on these things, I do think it's worth mentioning how the Swarm Pack, all the Swarm Packs really, come with new large-size enemy record sheets for those monsters, for those specific Otherworld variants of those creatures.
That's one of the fun parts about those Swarm Packs is the Otherworld variant enemy record sheet versions for those monsters.
It fleshes them out. They get their own, unique upgrade charts. Not upgrade chart.
The unique elite chart.
Elite chart, thank you.
Also, which is specifically for the evolution of that variant, that Otherworld variant. So, for instance, this has Desert Stranglers from the Blasted Wastes, and it has Dark Stranglers from the Derelict Ship as enemy record sheets with the variant. All the modifiers just baked right into the enemy record sheet. And then it's got its own unique elite chart for that variant. And the brutal side is the evolution of that variant rather than just the default with the modifiers applied.
And not only do we flesh out the previously released Otherworld variants, but we've included some new ones, right?
We have, yeah. There's a new group, new Otherworld variant of Night Terrors for the Swamps of Jargona, which is Bog Terrors. And there's a new Otherworld variant of Stranglers for the Sunken City of Ferox, which is the Sea Stranglers.
Yes. And just in case people aren't aware, the Sunken City of Ferox is the other world that is part of the Cursed Tombs of Kamuntet, which is the latest Kickstarter that we're working on. And if that's something that you missed out on, you can actually still do a late pledge right now on our web store.
Yeah. So a couple other things that we've had made available recently is the Rivals sets for both the Old West Rivals and the Samurai War Party, the Feudal Japan Rivals.
Now, but these things were included in the largest version of the Kickstarter for Adventures.
Correct.
So if you got the Warlord pledge, you already have these. But this is the first time we're selling them outside of the Kickstarter.
Yeah, and so those are basically card packs where it allows you to take the heroes that you already have, your hero models, and use them as rival heroes where there are other groups of heroes you encounter on your adventures, and maybe they're a little bit less heroic. They're more out for themselves, and so they make for some pretty tough enemies. And not only does it have the enemy record sheet for kind of generalized rivals of that type, Old West rivals or Japanese rivals, it also has individual specialty cards that represent each of those hero classes for that theme so that you can make individual enemies within the group champions. So you can specifically be fighting a group of Old West rivals, but when you pull cards for them, you might also have one of them is a saloon girl and one of them is a preacher. And so they have special kind of bonuses and abilities as kind of champions amongst the enemy group. So it really gives you a lot of potential for themed fights and themed battles. So the Rivals are a pretty fun set. And there's two different ones. There's the Feudal Japan and the Old West Rivals that are now available.
And while we're talking about Feudal Japan, there was another release for Feudal Japan stuff with Roll to Move.
There was. We had a new card supplement, which is the Feudal Village Daily Events Pack 1. So in the Feudal Village expansion, which is for kind of the town experience between adventures, there's a deck of daily events that are things a deck that you draw from at the start of each day in town, and it gives you some random event that happens. And so this is an additional new set of cards that you can mix into that stack so that in every one of your town stays between adventures in a feudal village in feudal Japan, you've got that many more different variations on daily events that can happen. So that was also first available at Roll to Move. Also recently we put out the thermoplastic miniatures for the Serpentman Temple Master and the Targa Librarian Prime, which are kind of like the mini boss versions of those enemies from the main adventure sets for Gates of Valhalla and the Valley of the Serpent Kings. And so those are now available as well. And then we also, as of Roll to Move, came out with the first legendary Specters supplement, which is basically new enemy record sheets and threat cards for some of the unique legendary Spectre enemies from the Forest of the Dead Otherworld expansion. So in the Forest of the Dead, there's a group of Shadow Wraiths that you can fight, which are a normal enemy, and then the kind of epic threat version of them is legendary Specters that are kind of character ghosts that you can encounter. And so normally you just use the normal Wraith models, but we released the first two of those characters as thermoplastic models with Constable Ludlow, the legendary Spectre, and Valentina de la Rosa. Constable Ludlow is kind of a Victorian London constable that is now a ghost. And Valentina de la Rosa is basically a pirate, a Spanish pirate, who, of course, is now a legendary Spectre haunting the Forest of the Dead. And so those two individual miniatures are available to represent those ghosts instead of just using the normal Wraith model. And then we also have that legendary Spectre supplement that has their modifiers and abilities worked into an enemy record sheet. And then, of course, it also has the unique elite chart for that legendary character, as well as the brutal side is the kind of the evolution of that specific character, as opposed to just the normal brutal Shadow Wraith that has the modifiers applied.
And then, of course, there's a set of trait cards, or not trait cards, sorry, threat cards that allow you to fight those, different groupings.
You can fight those Specters, those legendary Specters, kind of as mini bosses during an adventure, not just as an epic threat at the end. And they have different enemies that come along with them in those fights.
That's really cool.
Okay, so that was pretty much it. The only other thing that I think we released at Roll to Move recently was the miniature for, much like the legendary Specters, this is a miniature for a Wasteland Warmaster, and this was the last Wasteland Warmaster kind of boss enemy that we didn't have a miniature for. It's Hyrogin, the Bone King.
So this was first introduced, of course, in the Blasted Wastes Otherworld expansion.
He's from the Blasted Wastes, and normally you just use the Wasteland Warlord model to represent all the different kind of unique legendary enemy characters, but we've been putting out thermoplastic miniatures for those specific enemies, so you've got a specific figure to represent those different unique characters. So this was the last one that was part of the Blasted Waste. It's Hyrogin, the Bone King. And so that lets us segue into some stuff that is brand new for Gen Con. So this is stuff that has not been revealed or seen anywhere else yet. And the first one that we can talk about is the Wasteland Warmasters supplement number 3. So to go along with the release of the Hyrogin the Bone King miniature, we wanted to do that supplement that has the enemy record sheet specifically for him and the threat cards for him. And one thing we've done in the past is when there's only 5 of a particular legendary enemy like that, we'll create a brand new one, a 6th one for the new supplement.
Because they're in pairs.
Because they're in pairs for the supplement. So Hyrogin was the last of the 5, and so this is a brand new, this includes a brand new 6th Wasteland Warmaster named Kadu Leven. And she is a Shikari nomad who was stranded on the Blasted Wastes and has now risen up in the Wasteland as sort of a desert messiah, leading a giant movement across the desert of stragglers and scavengers and some of her Shikari crew that survived being stranded there. And so she's basically a brand new Wasteland Warmaster. And so this pack, this supplement has the enemy record sheet for Hyrogin the Bone King, as well as the brand new enemy record sheet for Kadu Leven, and all of those threat cards that let you fight them as a mini boss along the way, and having different enemies, different arrangements of enemies with them to join that fight. And so to go along with that Wasteland Warmasters pack number 3, we also have the brand new thermoplastic miniature of Kadu Leven.
Yep.
So she is now available as well. All right.
But I would dare say that she's not the only Shikari representation at Gen Con. Am I right?
You are correct. So for people that have been watching the Facebook group, I think there might have been a little bit of a hint at this with the advertisement for our mega game this year.
Yes.
But we have a brand new enemy pack available for the very first time at Gen Con, which is the Shikari Void Pirates. So in the same theme as the Shikari Nomad Crusaders, these are groups of kind of space pirates that are Shikari that, the Shikari Nomads, the theme of the Shikari Nomads is that their planet, they were an advanced civilization. Their planet has been completely destroyed by the darkness and the power of the Darkstone and the Void. And so now they're kind of a scattered, dying civilization, and different facets of them have broken off to try and survive in different ways. And so the Shikari Nomad Crusaders that we've seen before are ones, specific groups that have decided to dedicate their existence to hunting down and destroying all Darkstone and mutations and void energy that they find anywhere.
Kind of zealots.
Yeah, they're kind of zealots. And these Shikari Void Pirates went a different direction with it. They all became kind of space pirate mercenaries who now travel the stars in their ragtag fleet of ships, and they're formed up into different void clans, Shikari Void clans. Pirate clans.
In fact, there's a deck?
There's a deck of pirate clans for these guys. And so they specifically go to different planets they can reach or attack the derelict ship, the blasted wastes. There's an enemy Otherworld threat card for Tradera and for the Targa Plateau. Basically anywhere that they can get into their ships and fly to try and attack and loot and pillage and gain, get resources, steal the resources they need to survive since their civilization has been kind of decimated.
And these guys, we really went to town on the miniatures. There's so many variations that you can do, different heads. All of the heads work on all of the bodies. There's different poses of bodies. There's plasma shields that you can glue onto any of their forearms, because on their forearm they have a generator that generates the plasma shield. Yeah. And so you get two of them in there and you can put them on any of the guys.
Yeah, so one of the themes of these as an enemy group is that whereas the Shikari Nomads generally fight with, the Nomad Crusaders fight with longer rifles, these guys generally are more close assault because they're used to boarding actions. And so they fight usually with a plasma shield and a sword and pistol. So they get up close and personal and try to kind of raid through the confined corridors of the ships and the planets that they come across.
These are this is the deck of Shikari pirate clans.
Yeah.
And there's different Star Corsairs, Keepers of the Face, the Nameless Damned.
Do you want to choose one of these and just read it out?
Here, let me choose one and have you read it out.
Okay, sure.
How about the Void Dragons?
Void Dragons, sure. So this is one of the Shikari pirate clans. It says, using wrist-mounted short-range teleporters, the pirates of the Void Dragons clan strike without warning during a raid, then disappear back into the void with their ill-gotten gains. They take their name from the legendary star serpents that use the void to hunt their prey in the darkest depths of space. So, for abilities, they have sight-to-sight teleporters, where whenever the Hold Back the Darkness roll has failed, you immediately remove all Shikari Void Pirates from the board, then put each model just removed back into play as an ambush attack, getting the +2 initiative for ambushing, and keeping any wounds and status effects that they previously had. All of the different pirate clans also have a bounty listed at the bottom, which basically tells how much each of those models is worth when they're defeated by the heroes. So these particular ones are worth an extra 50 gold each when you take out a Void Dragon Shikari Void Pirate.
Yeah. All right, should we do one more?
If you want.
The Star Corsairs. The most numerous of the Void Pirates, the Star Corsairs, are comprised of thousands of smaller independent clans that have banded together under the banner of the Corsair Pirate King and his legendary void ship, the Shattered Star. These pirates pillage and plunder across the galaxy, paying tribute to their king. They have a special ability called Mark of the Shattered Star. Whenever the holdback to the darkness roll is failed, every hero takes 1 sanity damage, ignoring willpower. And their bounty is $15 each.
Yeah.
So these are really cool. It gives a lot of personality to them. And then, of course, there's the different threat cards for putting them into your game. And, of course, otherworld threats. And people are always most interested in which otherworld threats are included. For the Shikari Void Pirates, there's 2 otherworld threats for Derelict Ship, because mostly they're themed for Derelict Ship. But there's also 2 for the Blasted Wastes, 1 for Tradera, and one for Targa. So lots of options there. Anyway, these are the ones that I think I'm most excited about. They're really cool. And it gives us a chance to revisit Derelict Ship. People have been clamoring for some new Derelict Ship
a lot of people
stuff.
have been saying they think this is the year of the Derelict Ship. So,
well, why don't we continue on and see if there's any more Derelict Ship stuff?
There is.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about the bases? We have a brand new set of
Derelict Ship themed bases.
3D bases. So these come in 40 millimeter bases for large size enemies, and also in the standard 30 millimeter for heroes and medium size enemies.
Yeah, it's very exciting. We have 6 unique ones for the 30 millimeters and 3 unique bases for the 40 millimeters, and that actually is the standard size that you get for these different ones.
These are available brand new as of Gen Con. The brand new Derelict Ship terrain
Absolutely.
bases.
We're just furthering the Derelict Ship, the year of the Derelict Ship.
Right. Okay, so we also have another new enemy set that is Derelict Ship themed.
Oh, yes.
Shock. It is the Xenoite Devours. So a few years ago, we released a new enemy group that was...
the Xenoite Impalers.
The Xenoite Impalers. They were kind of smaller aliens that kind of skitter around the derelict ship in the blasted wastes, and they had lashing tails with spikes on the end that they would try to impale heroes with. And these guys are kind of their larger alien cousins. So these are the Xenoite Devourers. They're a new enemy group that is large size, so it's 3 large enemy models for the Xenoite Devourers. And one of the themes of these is that they're larger, hulking aliens that stalk the derelict ship or the blasted wastes if the ship that they were on crashed. And they have a giant devouring maw that's enormous and can feast on almost anything. They can eat almost anything with their maw. And so the devouring maw is so big that it actually gives them a cover save as they can potentially eat incoming shots or strikes with weapons. They also have long, kind of rope-like, fleshy tendrils that have hooks and spikes on the end, and so they use those to extend, grab onto heroes, and pull them all closer to their big devouring maws. And one of the things that's pretty scary with these guys is that if you're attacking them while adjacent to them with their big devouring maw, and they get their cover saves, they have a chance to actually try and devour items or weapons that you have equipped in your hands. So it can be pretty scary. You might end up having your gun or your sword or whatever weapon you're using eaten by these guys if you get a string of bad luck and they can try to devour your items.
As a bonus, we actually included the 40 millimeter Derelict Ship themed bases with these guys. Sometimes we like to try to do that so that people that maybe haven't used the theme bases can get a chance to try their hand at it, because they're really impressive and cool. People may not know how good they look and how easy they are to use. So every once in a while we'll say, you know what, for this set, maybe we'll include that as a bonus. And we did that with the Xenoite Devourers.
Yeah. All right. So there is also a brand new supplement for this for Gen Con this year.
Yeah.
And that is Shadows of Brimstone supplement called A Study in Terror. So previously we've done a lot of different supplements focusing on different types of heroes. So it'll be like a new adventure card and a new set of cards that are themed after a particular kind of category of hero, with things like, the law heroes or outlaw heroes or holy heroes. So this particular one is focused on heroes that are medical or science, so like the Frontier Doc. And A Study in Terror basically gives you a brand new adventure card that you can use to modify any mission that you go on to be a study in terror. Any mission that has a medical hero, a science hero, or a soldier hero can be a study in terror. And it basically adds extra horror-themed elements to it, with an unraveling nightmare and extra terrors to behold. But it also gives you an opportunity to get some extra bonuses along the way as well. And one of the and so that adventure card also has a unique set of encounters that are themed specifically for this study in terror. The other element to this set is that it introduces a new deck specifically for those medical and science heroes called Field Study. And so when you go on an adventure, whether it's the Study in Terror adventure card or not, you can actually add a Field Study card where it gives you a particular kind of side quest for your medical or science hero to try and do some sort of study in the field to gather information on the darkness or the enemies or whatever it is you happen to be studying. So there's a deck of those cards that you can draw from, and that gives you a little side quest for your adventure. So a Study in Terror is a pretty cool new supplement. It also has a new generalized enemy trait card called Lurking Horrors that you can apply to any enemies, and it basically makes those enemies extra scary, extra dangerous, but also give you potential extra loot because they're kind of the more terrifying enemies that you can find on your adventures.
The spoils of darkness.
The spoils of darkness.
The spoils of darkness that you can get. So maybe we can give them a taste. Do you want to select a Field Study card and
Sure.
maybe read it out? Let's see. How about Observation?
Observation. So, like I said, each of these Field Study cards is kind of like a side quest or a kind of personal mini adventure, personal adventure or quest for the hero that has it, the medical or science hero. And so this particular one says, once per fight, instead of making an attack, you may observe. Once per turn, when an encounter card is drawn and you are not making a skill test for it, you may observe. To observe, make a Cunning 5+ test. For each 5+ rolled, gain 1 study marker. Study markers are generally the currency for these field studies. And so this one is specifically trying to observe during attacks or observe during encounters to try to get those study markers. And it says, at the end of the adventure, discard your study markers and gain 10 XP for each. In addition, if you discard 8 or more, take 1 horror hit, but then gain +1 health or +1 side bag capacity. And if you discard 12 or more study markers, instead take 3 horror hits and gain +1 max grit or +1 combat.
That is really powerful.
And those are permanent changes.
Yeah.
But the idea that you're going to try to get, as many as 12 study markers in one adventure is not hugely likely, but it's kind of a fun...
It's a cool side quest.
A fun side quest you can try to do. It does say sanity damage from these horror hits is permanent sanity loss. So if you collect enough, 8 or more or 12 or more to get the extra bonus, you've delved a little too deeply into your observation of the darkness, and so it can give you a cool permanent bonus, but also lower your sanity permanently.
And that's Observation. There's other ones like Gathering Specimens or Deploying Equipment, Tag and Release, things like that.
Yeah.
And then there also is a whole set of encounters specifically
that
for
a Study in Terror.
The Study in Terror. Do you want to maybe give them a hint of one of these? Is there one
Sure.
that you want to...
Sure. Why don't we just grab one of these? We'll just grab Threads of Time.
Threads of Time.
Threads of Time. It says, the air here is cold, and you begin to see flickers of blue light flashing out of the corner of your eye. With a brilliant flash of white, you see stretched out before you the history of the universe in one direction, and the future extending off in the other. But something's not right. Not far off, the future seems to be unraveling, disintegrating into burning strands of shadow. Fear grips your soul. So in this case, every hero has to make a Spirit 5+ test. If you're successful, you get 15 XP as you hold firm your convictions to fight against the evil. If failed, you succumb to despair, take 5 sanity damage ignoring willpower, and your corruption resistance is reduced by 1 for the rest of the adventure. So basically all of these encounters and the adventure card are very much themed for your unraveling sanity as you get closer and closer to the evils that the darkness unleashes.
Yeah. This is actually one of the things that I love most about the card supplements, because it's this little pack that gives a complete shot in the arm, like a total boost to the gameplay, and can just change up and color how your games go for this little expansion, little 15 card expansion. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely a lot of fun to work on and also a lot of fun to have in game.
All right, so there's one other release that we have for Gen Con that we have not yet covered. Why don't we talk about that?
That's true. All right, so we also have, for the first time at Gen Con, people will be seeing it and be able to get their hands on it for the first time. It is Challenge Pack number 4, which is the Oathbreaker King. So a challenge pack is something we've been doing for the last few years. This is the fourth one, and it's basically a pack that is got a brand new kind of character boss enemy that is extra difficult, extra challenging, and it has a brand new mission in it for hunting down and fighting that boss enemy, but it also has a new set of cards for threat cards and darkness cards that are specifically designed to be extra challenging, extra difficult for your heroes, and combine up different enemy groups that you haven't really seen together on threat cards before.
Yeah, one of the things that we do with the challenge packs is that it's really meant to reward kind of veteran players that have been playing for a while. They're looking for extra challenge, and they also have built up a collection of Shadows of Brimstone, and now it offers new ways to use models from across that collection. So we usually will list out which things that it collects up together. For the Oathbreaker King Challenge Pack 4 here, it says recommended for use with the following products: Shadows of Brimstone Swamps of Death Core Set, Gates of Valhalla Adventure Set, Fenris Wolves, Dragar Undead Vikings, and Oathbreaker Axeman enemy packs, and the Forest of the Dead Otherworld expansion. Now, you don't necessarily have to have all of those, but if you do have all those, they're going to be used in this.
Yeah.
And if you are missing one, you could just not use that particular threat card.
Yeah, there's rules on
the
the rule sheet in here that specifically talk about if you're missing one or more of the enemies that are part of this group, that when those threat cards come up that combine the different enemies, you can swap in a different enemy group that's part of your collection.
And the coolest part about this is the Oathbreaker King.
Yeah.
Because we were just introduced to the Oathbreaker Axemen, and now we've seen their Undead King.
That's right.
Do you want to talk a little about him? I mean, he's got so many really cool things about him.
Sure. The Oathbreaker King is a really tough new boss enemy that's kind of Norse themed, like kind of Gates of Valhalla Viking themed. And some of the things that are really cool about him are that he actually comes with a brand new deck of Broken Oath cards, similar to the Oathbreaker Axeman, but they're different oaths, so it's a new set of those cards. If you have the Oathbreaker Axeman, you can mix all of your Broken Oaths together, and it gives you more variety. But also, he has an ability where whenever he comes into play, whenever other enemies come into play while he's already out, or with him, he draws a Broken Oath for them. So even if it's regular Dragar Undead Vikings or Spectral Hordes, they suddenly become Oathbreakers, and they get an Oathbreaker, a Broken Oath card drawn for them. Also, he doesn't draw Broken Oath cards for himself, but instead, he gains the bonus of every Broken Oath that's in play. So the more different enemy groups that he is leading, the more Broken Oaths that are out there, and he gets the bonuses from all of them personally. He also has a pretty cool deck of Death-Cursed Relics, which are unique items that this Oathbreaker King has. And at the start of every turn, he draws one of these cards to use for the turn. And so it's everything from his Tarnished Crown to his Blighted Armor or his Shattered Sword, which is a sword that's been broken off partway through the blade, and now when he fights with it, when he draws it, the rest of the blade reforms in ghostly energy that he can attack you with. And he's got his, Decrepit Scepter or his Ring of Ruin. And so each of those has a cool, powerful ability that it gives him. And so at the start of each turn, like I said, you get to draw one of those and see which Death-Cursed Relic he's using this turn.
And it's cool because we actually specifically modeled those items on the king himself on the model. And so you can see his glowing Shattered Sword and his Blighted Armor, Decrepit Scepter, and the crown and all that.
So this particular set also comes with a brand new mission that's called Hail to the King. Mm-hmm. And it's one where you're specifically trying to hunt down and defeat, pass through the different tombs and this sort of path, road of crypts and tombs through the mountains. And you're trying to find the Oathbreaker King's throne and tomb to try and defeat him, but you have to be fighting other enemies that are coming back from the dead along the way. And so it has brand new sets of cards for threat cards that combine a bunch of these different enemies together on one threat card, as well as the epic threat for the Oathbreaker King. It has the new deck of Broken Oath cards that you can mix in, and it's got new challenging darkness cards to mix in. And of course, his Death-Cursed Relics. There's also a new enemy trait that he applies to enemies during the mission that you're fighting, and it can be applied to any keyword undead enemies, so you can use it outside of the challenge pack as well to add an extra bit of danger. And it basically makes whatever undead enemies you assign it to be Oathbreakers. So
Specters of a Broken Oath.
The Specters of a Broken Oath, that's right. So you can assign it to any undead, whether they're hungry dead from Swamps of Death, or whether they're spectral hordes, or dishonored dead samurai from Forbidden Fortress. Could also easily have this. Or even vampires. You could have vampires with Broken Oaths, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that is the Oathbreaker King challenge pack. It's definitely extra dangerous.
This is my favorite of the challenge packs that we've done.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool one.
It's very exciting. And it's also really cool to have a Viking themed challenge pack.
Yeah.
That's really cool. All right. So before we go, I did want to mention that we do now have issue number 2 of the Darkstone magazine. And so you'll be able to pick this up at Gen Con or in the web store for the part of the Gen Con sale. It 68 pages of Flying Frog goodness, and it includes 6 exclusive game cards for Shadows of Brimstone. So, just a quick pitch to make sure people know that is now available, and we're very excited about it. But I think that just about wraps it up for now, which is good because we need to start packing and head to Indianapolis for the biggest 4 days in gaming.
Yep. Sounds like a plan. All right. Well, if you're coming to Gen Con, make sure you stop by the Flying Frog booth, number 729, and we hope to either see you all there or see you on the Gen Con online web store sale that we're going to be having.
The web store
time.
sale launches Thursday morning, same time Gen Con opens. So it should be exciting whether you're there in person or can just enjoy all the fun and the releases and debuts and excitement. From the comfort of your own couch.
Indeed.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, and we'll see you at Gen Con. Hope to see a bunch of you guys. All right. Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.